Spiritually gifted and chosen people stay stuck in cycles that keeps them sabotaging and never actually staying consistent to reach their goals that they feel that they should be living on the inside. If you are in a cycle of constantly starting and stopping and crashing every time you try to take action towards your goals, it's not a coincidence. The cycle that this is in is a survival cycle. And the survival cycle is an identity that you learn to develop subconsciously when you went through something traumatic that you went through in the past. You went through something traumatic in the past that now has inspired you to want to rebuild your life. But every time you start, you stop and you crash. And no matter how many times you try to replan, you just keep staying in that cycle over and over and over again for years on end, never actually reaching your goal. And this is just because of the fact that you're in a survival identity. When you went through that traumatic thing that you went through in the past, you've programmed or you became programmed into a survival because you had to be in survival in order to learn how to survive that trauma. Now that you're out of it, you're stuck in that identity. That identity is programmed into your brain. So now anytime you try to take action towards your goals, your body is in fight or flight. Your body doesn't feel safe when it's taking action. It feels like it's another trauma shit that it needs to push and get through. When in reality, you're supposed to be calm and regulated and not anxious and just consistent, because chasing your goals or trying to build your dream life is not something that's dangerous. It's neutral. You know that, but your subconscious mind doesn't know that. So the shift that I had to do in my life was to unprogram the survival identity. I took a lot of the cycles that I was in, because there's so many of them. I took the one that was the most dominant to me and I dissected it down. What was the triggers that triggered that cycle to start? What was the beliefs that I was carrying that kept that cycle alive? And what was the action that I would take when I'm triggered that kept reinforcing that cycle over and over and over again? And when I took and I dissect that and I flipped it, the programming slowly over time, taking each cycle at a time, started to become undone. This is the 3-step process that I walked myself through in my own life and I walk my clients through. Because the mistake that people like try to teach you on the internet is that it's either nervous system regulation or it's just programming, when you actually need all 3 stages. The 3 stages that I'm not going to break in this video is from your nervous system, right, which is your mind, then your body, which is the actual survival, and then it's soul, because you have to connect it back to your divine aligned path, which is a video for a whole another day. But when you are stuck in these cycles, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just a survival identity that you've developed from that traumatic shit. The thing that needs to shift is just literally your survival identity being undone. And then you start to build the identity of who you actually are outside of that trauma, which is obviously developed and grown. You start taking actions from a place of who you are when you're actually in calm and resting energy and not trying to fight for your life every day. This is the shift that needs to happen. There's nothing wrong with you